USA 1, Belgium 4. That was a tough pill to swallow, but not because we lost. It was a tough pill to swallow because of how bad we looked. I mean, like it was bad. And you know what? I would have been fine had we lost. Just, Mexico lost as well. I would have been fine if we lost, if we carried the fight that we were carrying, if we looked and tried things and been brave, like we did, like we looked against Paraguay, like we looked even against Bosnia at times, um, there was like Australia. Let's start from the beginning. Balogun and all that drama. Um, Intention doesn't matter. For those that don't know, it doesn't matter if it was on purpose or he intended to hurt him. For a red card offense, that doesn't matter. So let's just get that out of the way. Um, so to me, anyone that's trying to tell me, oh, he didn't mean it doesn't fucking matter. It never has. Not for a red card offense. Uh, what mattered is how VAR is being used, and what mattered is refs' decisions uh, in the run of play. I don't think number one it should have been a red. I think it was extremely harsh, and the ref deemed it that way in the run of play. VAR took a look at it, and they weren't looking at the whole play either. That was something that was bothering me. Balogun was the one that was challenged, and it was a tussle. He challenged Balogun, and then Balogun tried to find his footing. I don't care. I don't. I think I said in the previous video, you know what, we're out without Balogun, we move forward. I think we could have. That's not the point. Um, it was it so everything happened, and unfortunately, the Orange Baboon decided to get involved, even though the committee looks at the files the next day, meaning when he made the phone call, which was 2 days after, had nothing to do with the decision. Nothing. He could call whoever he wants, but according to what we know, his phone call did nothing for the decision. All it did was rile up any good faith that the U.S. men's national team was trying to build, not only with its fans, but across the world during this World Cup. Completely shot. This fucking idiot who is just trying to score political points in an already failing administration. And I'm not going to make this a political video. Is trying to take credit for something he didn't do once again. And all it did was give bulletin board material for Belgium and turned any casual fan against the U.S. men's national team. When, for those of us that have been here since day one, or at least I have been following this team that I can remember since the World Cup qualifiers in '97. I was 8 when I started to get excited about the U.S. men's national team. That stupid phone call hurt us so much. At least, like in what it did. I think the noise got to the players. I think the noise also hurt any kind of growth for the game in the U.S. And unfortunately, it's a stain. It's a stain in what would have been a passable World Cup performance. I think we needed to get to the quarterfinals for it to be a success. So I think the U.S. men's national team failed. I think Canada had a rousing success. I think Mexico performed above the level than what they were capable of. You can come at me if you want. I think Mexico. This was one of the worst talent generations Mexico has ever had, and yet, and yet, even though Mexico's talent was bleh. I'm talking overall as a group. I think Raul Jimenez is one of the best strikers Mexico has ever had. I think Quinones has been a fucking breath of fresh air. I think Eric Lira is the reason Mexico went as far as they did. Even though I'm really upset they didn't bring Ledesma. I mean, instead you guys brought Sanchez, which was bullshit. But even with that, Mexico still pushed because of their fans, because of the support, and because of Azteca. I think it was a success. But for the U.S. men's national team, this was a failure. I think this was an absolute failure. I would have, if there wasn't all that Balogun noise and we lost to Belgium, and we showed some fight, I would have said, you know what, this wasn't a success, but this wasn't a failure either. It's like in that weird middle zone. It's unfortunate, whatever. But no. With what it is now, it is an absolute failure. Part of it is on Poch, sure. A big part is on U.S. soccer in general, our federation. Yep. But most of it, I'm sorry, is on some of these soft fucking players. I one of the biggest talking points for a lot of U.S. fans, and even pundits and whatnot, has been how I hate using the word soft, but how weak-willed and how little heart these players have shown during some of these games, during World Cup qualifiers, for the last World Cup, during the last World Cup, the way we went out to Netherlands, and even some of the group stage games. This World Cup, Pochettino came in with less than 2 years. I believe it was a year and a half, and he came in ruffling some feathers. And I was one of the people that was being really critical of him. As time went on, I started seeing that, yeah, he was picking some of our better players. He was picking, even though he was leaving them off the rosters, he did end up going back to Weston McKennie. He did end up going back to Joe Scal. He did bring in Giovanni Reina. He did bring in our better players. But it felt like he had to first say, shut the fuck up. You're not bigger than the team. And I need you to show some freaking heart. I agree 100% that Diego Luna, talent-wise, and ability-wise, doesn't make this roster. But you're damn well sure that Diego Luna would have fucking done something more. He would have put in way more fucking effort and heart. A guy I've been super critical of, Sebastian Berhalter, which I know there's some friends of mine that I have I have literally made fun of Sebastian Berhalter so much because I don't think he has the technical ability to honestly be that good. He was one of the better players yesterday. He at least came in. He immediately had that shot that from outside the box that tried to score. He was trying to rile up some of the players. He was trying to rile up some of the fans. He was going in hard to tackles. Where was that from Christian Pulisic? Which, by the way, one of the worst players on the day. Christian Pulisic was. I don't remember how many times, but I lost count, I think, after 6-7 times in the first half that he lost the ball. Or how many times he was trying to play hero ball, coming back down to receive the ball from Tyler Adams when literally Tyler is already ahead of him. Bitch, get the fuck up! What are you doing? And then he gets injured, so he doesn't even play. And for those of you that don't know the drama for the U.S. men's national team, he for the Gold Cup, when Pochettino was bringing in mostly an MLS roster with some of our other guys sprinkled in, he wanted to take time off so he can be fully rested and ready for the World Cup. For this one, where he just shat the bed completely. It's a huge terrible performance from him. And I'm not talking about this game. I'm talking about the World Cup. He had one good 45 minutes against Paraguay. And then, oh, my calf. And you know what? Injuries happen. That's fine. But then you come back in against Turkey, and yes, we're losing, and he had a couple good moments, but again, just a couple good moments. Bosnia, blah, and then this one, just nothing. Whether you like it or not, Christian Pulisic, you're the face of this program. And I understand there's a difference from hero ball, give me the ball and I'll try to just force it and do something, versus play your freaking game. Trust the players around you and play your game. He was terrible. Okay, talking about the game itself, I think it was number one. It just immediately I was like, this is an off day. I was saying right away, we got scored on immediately, but some of the passes that were going, Freeman couldn't connect a pass to save his life. Serginho Dest, who normally is doing magical things on the ball, just couldn't even do a step over to save his life. I think Balogun was begging for the ball at times. Never saw it. The difference, the stark difference between the Paraguay game and that one was there was so much more bravery with line breaking passes going forward. There was so much more bravery with looking at players making runs into the half spaces and saying maybe we'll leave space open, but maybe we can attack and go in. The amount of times I counted of players back passing, and I'm not against resetting the play. I'm not always saying you got to go forward, but there was a clear, stark difference from the bravery of the Paraguay versus just the absolute shitty performance that we saw in this one. And it wasn't just a bad day with passes that weren't connecting, with people that weren't on the same page. It just looked like we were scared. And you know what? For my friends who are going to disagree with me, I'm sorry. But the truth is that when you compare the United States to the rest of the CONCACAF nations right now, and I would even argue to even some CONMEBOL and some European nations, some UEFA nations, which are the Europeans and the South Americans, our team, at least our starting 11, is just as talented, if not more. That's the truth. You can come at me if you want, but it is the truth. Player to player, player for player. The difference, and where it showed here, is that the soft, weak, and lack of bravery that we showed compared to even Bosnia was stark. That's the difference. I mean, like, we can have a whole separate conversation about, like these are rich, spoiled kids who blah 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 never had to fight for anything a day in their life. Maybe that's true. And normally I'm the type of person that wants to immediately talk about the tactics, that wants to talk about what coaches did, what the players were doing with those coaches' instructions. It's really hard for me to look at what Pochettino had done throughout this World Cup and start to blame him. What's on him is he needs to find a way to rile up these players. Sure. But this is on the players. This performance was just so un-American. And what made it worse was the noise around it. Absolutely. And we deserve to lose. 100%. And Belgium came out with the bulletin board material and with everything. And you know what? Maybe Belgium is just better. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Belgium is a freaking great team. with great players that they had benched too. Doku, benched. Kevin De Bruyne, benched. I think Lukaku's whatever, but benched. And which was a tactical decision by their coach. He wanted to put more physicality in the midfield, which worked. It really took us off our game. He wanted to put more physicality and more stamina in the midfield rather than having some old Kevin De Bruyne trying to run around passing the ball. It worked. But unfortunately, I don't want to say it was all a tactical mishap that the U.S., is green. No, we're not. We have players playing the Champions League. We have players that play on top teams in the world and are not getting spotty minutes. The teams are starters for those teams. You can't tell me it's about talent. You can't. I watch them every week. I have my teams that I watch every weekend, and then I go and watch and record all the U.S. teams. Well, all the teams with U.S. players in them, and I watch them. And these are players that are fighting for they're fighting and playing for big teams. And some of them, yes, are fighting for spots. And the guy who didn't even have a good season this season, Malik Tillman, was one of our best players. Leverkusen doesn't even start him right now. He's a bench player. He gets spot minutes here and there, but he had the best World Cup out of everyone. This was disappointing, and not because we lost. And normally, yes, when the U.S. loses, during 2018 we didn't make the World Cup. I wore black for at least a month and a half because I was in mourning, and people think that's ridiculous. But I take it to heart. I love this sport. I love cheering for the U.S. men's national team because I've been an apologist for that team and a big supporter for that team. I supported MLS I'm wearing a LAFC jersey. I supported MLS for a long time, but you cannot deny the eye test. You cannot deny what we're seeing, and what we saw yesterday was a joke. It was an absolute embarrassing joke, and it's hard because for the longest time I always am trying to help people get into the game. I want to show them why this game is so beloved by the entire planet. Why this event is the biggest event on the planet. Not hyperbole, that's just a fact. But this performance and the drama that went on before that, thanks to the idiot, embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. And I know I'm going to already get some of the Mexico fans talking shit and some of the Canadian fans talking shit. And even though I was a big supporter of both Mexico and Canada. And then once again, the American gets shit on. My whole life, as a person who played soccer, a person who watched soccer, I was told my opinion is practically invalid. That I had to constantly prove that either I could play and I know what the hell I'm talking about because I've played since I was 5, 4, whatever, and that my opinion isn't from a stupid, uninformed place. I'm Latino, sure, but even so, I'm American. What the fuck do you know about soccer or football? And this, Americans have constantly, at least players as well, have gone through the same thing out in Europe. Even south of the border with our neighbors. Americans are always looked at as idiots when it comes to this game. And that performance, just like the Netherlands game, where we looked green. And that one I blame the coach Berhalter for. But this one just showed we had no heart. Tactics were fine. The tactics had shown that they had worked. In the previous games, in the warm-up games, we played against Germany and Portugal in the first half when we started with our main guys. We took them. We were holding our own. We were doing great. The second half, we put in the subs and we put in other players because we were trying things out, and then it went to hell. This one, it went to hell from the beginning. And that's because there's no focus, there was no heart. It just, and yes, maybe it was a bad day, but this was one hell of a time to have a bad day. It hurt Pulisic and any legacy he wants to have, which, who gives a shit? I don't care. I'm not a big fan of Landon Donovan, but at least Landon Donovan fucking showed up when he needed to. Clint Dempsey fucking played with every heart and mustard thing he could fight with. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. I hope that we get rid of a lot of these tendencies, because some of these players have a lot of talent. But all the talent in the world is not going to help you if you don't have the heart to suffer for your team. If you don't have the heart to suffer for your country and your badge. This is the pinnacle of soccer, and you can't get up for this game. This is it. Knockout World Cup soccer is the Super Bowl times 10 times 20. Knockout World Cup soccer is it can't get any. That's where legends are born. Pelé, Maradona, Luis Figo, oh my God, Folarin from Uruguay, you know, like Garrincha, all these R9, even Messi, but FIFA, even though FIFA loves to protect him, but all this stuff, legends are made here. This is it. So yeah, long story short, this was an embarrassing game. This was a terrible, embarrassing game. And I'm happy for Mexico. I'm happy for Canada, because they're our CONCACAF neighbors, and I want CONCACAF is looked at as the bottom of the barrel in the soccer world. I'm happy they did well, and I'm happy that their fans feel that their team represented them. But this game here, that didn't represent the actual day one American fans. Not at all. Not at all. And it's unfortunate, because they're better than that. A majority of those players that are out there are better than that. Balogun is better than that. Tillman's better than that. McKennie is better than that. Serginho Dest had a horrible day, but he's better than that. Tim Ream, thank you for your service, but that's it, man. You're done. You're too old. Chris Richards is better than that. Tyler Adams is better than that. I'm starting to wonder if Christian Pulisic is better than that, though, because the man doesn't show. That's the guy that's supposed that. You want to write your books. You want to have your TV deals. You want to have all this stuff. Why should I give a shit if that's what you're doing? And I understand you got injured at some point, but you had a whole half where you were just fine. Nah. So, I don't know if it's a good idea for Pochettino to stay on. If we've learned any lessons from previous managers and whatnot. We never do well in a second cycle, but technically he never even had a whole cycle. I don't even know if Pochettino would want to stay on. So, we'll see how that goes down. And because that's crazy. But if he does, I'd be really intrigued what he does. I hope that I hope what we do as a nation is we really lean in for the Olympics and leave some of these players who are older, just leave them out completely. It's time to move forward. We need to find better goalies. For the love of God, we need to find better goalies. Start working on our young guys. We got some young guys that are doing great. Cochin, who has been with Barcelona for a long time, just got a transfer to a team in, I believe, in Norway or in Switzerland or something. And I know that's not a big league, but the kid is 17 and is wonderful with his feet, unlike Matt Freese. You know, you got a guy in Roma. You got also, what's his name, with Chelsea, but I think he needs a transfer. Chris Brady, who made the World Cup roster, who plays with Chicago. He's wonderful. I think he needs to start challenging himself in a tougher league. So there's that. It looks like Noah Kai Banks might actually end up choosing the U.S. based on his Instagram posts. We'll see. He's a defender, plays in the Bundesliga. Didn't accept the U.S. call-up, so people have mixed feelings about that. I just think in general, we have some amazing talented people also, young kids in Europe kicking ass. They just weren't ready for this World Cup. The future does look good. We even have some amazing prospects here in MLS. Mehmeti and Julian Hall in Red Bulls. Sakiris in San Jose Earthquakes. I think he's phenomenal. There's great talent, not just abroad, but here. I just hope that instead of seeing these spoiled rich kids, we can actually have some players that play with some heart, so that we as fans can be proud of the players and the staff and the team, win or lose. Because that performance is really hard to be anything other than just sad and saying we deserve to lose. So it's unfortunate that a World Cup that I've been looking forward to for 10 years, and I say 10 because we were awarded it in 2016, but it was a 2-year process. Oh, 12, sorry. Can't do math. This is how it ends. Anyway, I wore my jersey last night till the wee hours right before I went to bed, and then I took it off, and now I have to just say, well, here's to 2030. And I hope that some of these guys learn some lessons, the ones that will probably be still around, and I hope the ones that are coming up will fight with everything they got to wear that badge. Because some of those players that were out there yesterday, they're going to live with some regrets, 100%. All right. Well, I don't know if I'm going to continue these videos, but they're fun. So, well, it's at least a good way to vent. So,